wandering on the foreshore and in the shallows of an ephemeral water catchment area in western New South Wales is this cute little bird. Black cap, tan on the back, white neckband going to black over the upper chest, tan on the sides, white belly, red tibia with the grey tarsus. This is a red-kneed dotterel. Being waders, the red-kneed dotterels belong to the family Charadriiform, then the subfamily Vanellus. And the typical features of the Vanellus subfamily are firstly that they are all waders, and this includes the lapwings, dotterels and plovers. And these birds share many characteristics, like foot tremor, to stir up the mud and release invertebrates. Looking at the subfamily Vanellus, we find that the taxonomists have difficulty in forming groups or genus within this subfamily. And of all the multiple genus groups within the subfamily Vanellus, the red-kneed dotterel stands alone. Even Sibley and Alquist, with DNA hybridization studies, found difficulty in putting this bird into a taxonomic group. So it's now monotypical in the genus Erythrogones. Another dotterel that we commonly see in association with the red-kneed dotterel is the black-fronted dotterel. But the black-fronted and the red-kneed dotterel are not closely related and are each in a different genus. Here is the black-fronted dotterel. Its behaviour is very much the same as what we've already seen with the red-kneed dotterel. Here is foot tremor. It's feeding with vision, feeding mostly off the surface, but occasionally from below the surface, but only in the very shallow water. And it's always presumed that this is done by vision. However, the foot tremor part does seem to give a certain sensory input, telling the bird where to plunge. One more bird that just flew off was a black-fronted dotterel, and here again the red-kneed dotterel in front of the black-fronted dotterels in the rear. And you can see the red-kneed dotterel is a slightly bigger bird. The red-kneed dotterel has a wide distribution in continental Australia, but it is always found close to water. It may be confused with other vanilliforms like several small plovers, but the locality usually tells us the difference. The red-kneed dotterel likes fresh water. The red-capped and the hooded plover are usually found in coastal estuarine areas, grazing mostly in the intertidal area, but there is always some overlap. Flicking movement is common within the charadriiforms like the purple swamp-hen that has a flicking movement of the tail, but in the subfamily Vanellus, we don't find the flicking of the tail. And here, this red-kneed dotterel has a body-rocking component as he gazes up into the sky, looking for a raptor threat. Body rocking like this is also seen in the doves and pigeons, and may well be an assistant to improved visual focus. Grazing, good vision, improved by body rocking, stirring of the mud to bring the insects up, all help the red-kneed dotterel to get a good feed. Inland lakes in Australia are ephemeral. In other words, they fill up with rain and then they may disappear during a dry period. So the red-kneed dotterel has to move about. Most flights are short distances, but during a drought period there is a migration towards the coast for freshwater security. As mentioned, Most feeding is done by vision, including insect eggs and larval forms. They will take seeds from the surface as they float by, and they only tend to graze in very shallow water. They can obviously see into the water down to their feet. They don't seem to feed in deeper waters that are above the red knee. And here this red-kneed dotterel has found a small mollusk. But he was doing foot tremor activity, and I always wonder whether the nerve endings in the feet have any contribution apart from stirring up the mud to finding the invertebrates. For the foot activity, stirring up the sediment makes vision down to the foot level difficult. So I suspect there is a little bit more to it. Even possibly the small waves from the tremor activity changing refraction to help vision down to the feet. But with what you just saw, sometimes the bird just pounces on the prey. So the greater majority of feeding is related to catching invertebrates from visual stimulus. Now so far we have seen these birds in singles and pairs, but they are quite gregarious in their nature, and they will come together as a group, as we just saw down at Werribee. And here, in the Hunter Valley, you can see 3 birds feeding together, going in the same direction, just plucking out from the surface. I suspect here there are a lot of insect larval forms with the decaying weed. Here again, at Hexham Swamp, there are 3 birds. There were another 4 birds very close by. As it comes to springtime, these birds are found more often in pairs. Red-kneed dotterels, like many waders, bond in monogamous pairs. The bonding is cemented by activities, and usually these are coordinated activities, like running together or pecking at the same time. As you can see here, this pair is running flat out with stop-start motion. The running is symmetrical for each bird, and this coordinated activity is part of the bonding process. The greater majority of these coordinated activities end up with exhaustion and the birds stop and then go away for another feed. But sometimes it does end up in copulation. And this happens in such a flash that I've never obtained it on video, but I do have a still shot. And as you can see, the cloacas are elevated high into the air to prevent any contamination from the water. And unfortunately the birds, if it was a long process, could possibly drown, but it takes less than a second. Typical vanillas, like the masked lapwing, have chicks that are precocial like these ones. In other words, they will feed themselves, and the adults just supervise, keeping predators away. Some waders are semi-precocial, like the buff-banded rail, where the chicks don't find their food as soon as they get out of the shell. The adult finds it for them and just dangles it in the tip of the bill until the chick takes the food. These are juvenile red-kneed dotterels. The head is not black and the rusty flanks are absent. I don't have any photographs of chicks, because I can never find them because they're never with the adult. As soon as a red-kneed dotterel is hatched, it feeds itself and wanders away from the nest. And this wandering off as soon as it hatches out of the egg is unusual for all the charadriiforms and is called nidifugus behaviour. And now you may understand why this bird is in its own genus. And its DNA variation from other vanilla forms tells us that this bird will have different behavioural characteristics, the most outstanding being this nidifugus behaviour.